absolutely incredible morning. This is going to be a different call. There is a book out there called A Million Miles in a Thousand Years, and it's by that guy who wrote that book, Blue Like Jazz. I don't know if you guys have ever read that book, but it's tremendous. Anyway, the author, Milton Miles, is talking about your life through the lens of what makes a good story. A good story requires challenges, it requires character transformation, a worthwhile goal in order to be truly interesting. That's a basic premise. You know what? Think about your life. Do you really think that the story that you've got written up for your life is a great one, or the story that you've got written up for your life is kind of a crummy one? I want you to think about that today, because I want you to start thinking about maybe writing a story inside of your life that is even better than the story that you've got written right now. What's the story? Have you mapped out a story for yourself? Have you mapped out a story for your family? Have you mapped out a story for your life? Because otherwise, your children and people around you are going to start writing out their own kind of story, where they've got risk, where they've got adventure. And you know what? I think that you, on this call, every one of you could write a better story. I know I could write a better story of doing more fun stuff, more good stuff, more worthwhile stuff. I can still have the risk, I can still have the adventure, but I want to have a story that's got strong characters starting with me, where I'm pulling people up by their bootstraps, people like you, people like people out there in the world, people like your people, and we're bringing people up. I want you to write a story for your life today that is so much different than the story that's been running you, where you are the hero of that story. And the hero of that story that you're writing for your life today doesn't settle, doesn't accept, doesn't compromise, doesn't cut back, doesn't live scarcity, doesn't live cynicism, resignation, and despair. The person that the heroine of your story is bigger than life, that's getting up every day and saying, guess what? I am going to take the mountain, come heck or high water. There is nothing that's going to stop me. And there's going to be all kinds of wonderful things in it. There's going to be beautiful clothes. There's going to be trips. There's going to be adventure. There's going to be excitement, because you're writing this story that you're going to live into. Maybe you're going to take on an orphanage down in South America. Maybe you're going to take on the homeless people in your town. Maybe you're going to take on making your family more beautiful, more powerful, more together, more held. I don't know what that new story that you're going to write for your life is, but I know that you're going to write a new story that is going to rock the foundation of the story that you've got written now. You're going to look different, you're going to feel different, and you're going to be different, because you're living in a different story. So I want you to think today, what story are you living in? What story is running your life? Because I'll bet you apples to eggshells that the story that's running your life is not the story that you want to run your life. And all you need to do is rewrite it and get some people to participate in it. Your spouse, your children. And it's not just going to be about your business. Don't make it just that. Make it so much bigger, where there's a vacation and an adventure and a trip to Colorado, or a motorcycle ride, or whatever suits your fancy in that story, or an airplane ride, a hot air balloon ride, a trip to Las Vegas in March to the convention. I don't know what's going to be in that story, but start living that story like that's the story of your life, because I know that there is one thing that's going to get you going, and that's something to look forward to. That's called hope. That's called a bigger thing. Every one of you have a cause. I was at Victoria Barron and Iggy Barron's unbelievable meeting last night. It was packed. It was fun. And they were all talking about their causes. And that's what had me driving home on the way home from Longmont to Denver, or Denver to Longmont. And I'm thinking about your stories and how every one of you have such an interesting story going on when we're talking about the dreams and when we're talking about the goals. And then we go back to our life. And who said we need to do that? Let's weave a new story into our life where we're living this adventure that is bigger than big, and better than good, and funner than fun, and aliver than alive. You can do that. I know you can. And it's not just about this comp plan, this company, these products. Those are the vehicle to get there from here. I promise you. But what I'm going to tell you is it starts with you. It's an inside job. It is critically important that you sit down today and chart that map and make it adventurous, make it reach, make it a novel that turns into nonfiction. In other words, it's something that is so preposterous in this story. Look, man, you've got that new car. It was so cool last night. A little boy named CJ. I said, what would you do with an extra $200 a month? And his face lit up because it was $10 million to him. And he said, I'd buy that car in the James Bond movie. And I said, that Aston Martin? And he said, yes. And I said, that's in my story too. I want one of those cars. So that's what I had in common with that little 14-year-old boy last night. But I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Every one of us have a story. Every one of us have to make it bigger than big and better than better. And I'm thinking right now, what's your story that's running you? What is it? You don't have to tell me. You tell yourself. But I want to ask you this. Are you sick of that old story? Are you ready for a new one? Are you ready for a story that's going to light you up like a Roman candle? Then you say, I'm going to live it. And then you say, how are we going to do it? And you start enrolling 4 friends and you say, you know what? I'm writing a new story for my life. And here's what it looks like. And you're in it. I want you to be a major component, and I want you to write your story too, and I want it to be a swashbuckling story of having what you want out of your life and laughing all the way to the bank, and you and I are we're going there together. And once you start doing that, you guys, all of a sudden people get caught up in the cause, and there's going to be no stopping you whatsoever. Not one of you people are going to be stoppable, and that's what I want. I want it for Robert Beck in Chicago, for Barbara Lucart in San Diego, for Don Clemens out in New York. Every corner of this country, every corner of this world. I want you to have great health. I want you to have money. I want you to have time. But more than else, I want you to have happiness. I want you to have eat, play, love. I want you to be able to pass the health, pass the money, pass the happiness, pass the love. You can do it. We can do it. We will do it together. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I love you guys. I hope this wasn't completely off the wall. It made sense to me. I hope it made sense to you. Rewrite your story starting today. Hasta la vista, baby.